is your opportunity. There's only so much money you can make selling real estate to each other. At some point, you have to open the doors and allow the money from the rest of the world to come and accelerate the activities that are going on within your country. You have a beautiful country that many people weren't even aware of. And while we were teaching, and I was fortunate to be able to teach in Hungary, in Bulgaria, in Greece, and many other places, we weren't here because we did not have political stability. And so for this vacuum of 10 years, when we started in the mid-90s, unfortunately, Serbia wasn't part of the itinerary. And so now, while it may be a little late to the party is still going on. And the real estate is going fast and furious throughout the entire world. And now you have the opportunity to participate in that. So now I should be more formal and say, first of all, to my esteemed colleagues in leadership, where much is expected and much responsibility is given, and all my guests that are here today, I am privileged to be here on behalf of two prestigious real estate organizations. One is the oldest real estate organization in the world, NAR, National Association of Realtors, approximately 110 years old. And then the International Real Estate Foundation, which was organized in 1992. And I'll give you just a little background. When the National Association started, there was a collection of brokers in a large city in the United States called Chicago. And in Chicago, these brokers got together and said, you know, we need to establish standards. We need to be able to rely on each other and have an ethical code so that we're doing business in a similar manner and that we can have trust within the transaction that we put together. And so they started what was first called the National Association of Brokers. And then as it expanded over the years, it took 4 years for them to write what was considered a code of ethics. This was the first industry in the world that actually established a code of ethics. You look at all of the other industries, you don't see a code that says this is the proper conduct that we should be adhering to in our business activities. So 4 years later, the code came out. And then as it expanded into other states and they adopted it, what turned out was that many of the laws, similar to what we have passed, were actually embedded in the code of ethics. It said, yes, we should be careful when we're holding other people's money, that we should treat people that come to us in a proper manner and respect them. That when we do business with fellow realtors, that there's a certain decorum and a certain level of professionalism that we should adhere to. So the code is actually divided into 3 different parts: how we deal with each other, how we deal with the public, and then generally what our responsibilities are as business professionals. And so that code as the basis of laws throughout the entire United States. Now, I will say this, I did have to put a warning out to some of the former sort of Soviet bloc, that laws that are being passed in real estate should not be too onerous. That's why it's called a free market economy. You want to pass laws that protects the public from any deviant activity, but in fact you don't want to have so many laws that you actually constrict the ability of the industry to grow and prosper. And so you have to be careful about that. Now, my organization is roughly 1.3 million people. And I feel it kind of a privilege that I'm from a small family brokerage in a little town called West Palm Beach in Florida. And yet I've been able to participate literally throughout the world through the organizations because of the stuff that I get involved in and teach. I feel very privileged that someone in a small brokerage can play such a large role and be invited to presentations such as this. And I do have to give my thanks and some recognition to Slavisa Pesic right here. Please give me some appreciation. He successfully convinced me that my presentation tomorrow, which should take about a week, I have to do in 1 hour. That's a pretty remarkable challenge, but I think I've risen to the occasion. Now, the code also gives you the basics for cooperation between brokers. In the beginning, everybody wants to keep it all for themselves. But the fact is, more money is made when we share than we try to do it ourselves. And so the whole basis of having cooperative transactions is really to accelerate the volume of business that you end up doing. And as I mentioned, the fact is that once you have an established market with laws, the amount of money coming in from other investors throughout the world, foreign direct investment, is just amazing. Now, foreign direct investment isn't just a real estate transaction, because what happens when those large companies come here, the next thing they do is employ a lot of your citizens. And that's an important facet of what goes on. So it's not just a transaction. It's the fact that you're building an economy that's much larger than you would be on your own. Now to that I have to give you some of sort of an insight. Over the last probably dozen years or more, energy has preoccupied everybody and everywhere. It's impacted the budgets of many countries, it's impacted the budgets of businesses, and it seems now we've simmered down to having energy prices that are more reasonable and affordable to most of the population of the world. But I have to tell you, the next big thing is not going to be energy, it's going to be food. We will have another billion people on this planet within the next decade. And the question is, how are you going to feed them all? And I do have to give my hats off to the Chinese, who already see this and are planning for it. Because they've been going down to Africa, buying huge tracts of land. And their prime purpose is to put that land into agricultural production. Now, the Africans were welcoming the direct investment by the Chinese because they felt that they have a fairly large, not necessarily well-educated population, and the agricultural business really doesn't require a college education. And so we thought this would be a wonderful opportunity for them. What they didn't realize is when the Chinese buy these large tracts of land, they don't employ anybody local. They bring in 5,000 Chinese people to work the deal. So they were kind of disappointed in the outcome. At the same time, I was teaching over in the Bahamas, where the Chinese are going to build one of the largest resorts in the world. And they were dealing with the Bahamian government. And I was speaking to some of the Bahamian leadership in the country, and I said, be very careful, because you're expecting that resort is going to bring employment to your country. And they said, well, yeah. I said, well, unless you put that in the agreement, that's not what's going to happen, because I can tell you what's already happened somewhere else in the world. See, that's the advantage I have, is I can pollinate something that's happening somewhere else with what may be happening in your area. And so, to their credit, the Bahamians took to heart what I said to them, and they wrote in their contracts that 50% of the labor force must be local Bahamians. So they will get the benefit of the economic engine that the Chinese are going to put in their country. These are the things that you worry about when people come in from other areas that may be more adept and have a better knowledge, perhaps, than you have. And so you have to be careful. We say as an adage that if you learn more, you earn more. And I've been in the education business for close to 40 years in the real estate industry. And there's no question about it that those who learn their craft certainly are much more successful. And that's something that you have the benefit of the outlet organizations you are affiliated with. Certainly with the presentation by Kirk on the FIAPSI is now sort of a metamorphosis into an online university. You can get anything you're looking for that's available in the world in a database. These are important times, and the education is important. I would be remiss, I actually have some of my colleagues who are realtors that are representing the Greek realtors. We've got one in this, and we're just I'm not sure. But anyway, they're coming here from Greece to support your effort as a real estate association and a real estate industry. And it's wonderful to get the benefit of other people's experiences that you may benefit from. What I see around the world is somebody has a problem, and you know what? Somebody else somewhere has the solution. And it's only when we cooperate that we get the benefits of those insights as to how we can solve the problems that we face without a question. Now, as you have evolved into a business, there's no question that there are other industries that are born. There's a lot of people, I used to say, used to eat off the trough of the real estate transactions that we put together. Number one, you're going to need legal professions, lawyers, or maybe your notaries will take the place of that, notarios. Title business to make sure buy. Inspections now have become part of the real estate transaction, where people want to see what they're buying and know that the condition of it. The finance industry within the country needs to be expanded to give more opportunities for people to leverage themselves into real estate. The insurance industries will expand to make sure there's adequate available of insurance to the people who are buying in your country. So we have a lot of people that depend on us, and I'm not even talking about the people that do the remodeling when people buy. I'm now this year's chairman for research for the National Association, and we do publish annually a profile of home buyers and sellers. We do the profile of international home buyers and sellers. A lot of what we do analyzes what's going on within the industry, so our members have the benefit of understanding a lot about the brokerages. So as mentioned earlier, we have a little less than 2 members for most of your companies. Well, in my country, in the National Association of Realtors, 50% of our membership is comprised of small brokers of 5 to 7 members. So the small broker is alive and well and is a major contributor to the real estate industry. It's not all the large brokers and franchises, although looking at a lot of the marketing, you would think that they dominate the market. And in fact, they're about 50%, with small brokers are about 50%. I'm sure there's a lot more that I can discuss with you, but my time is limited here, and I've been told that they're going to get the hook out if I stay too long. You know, when I go around, I learn as much from my students sometimes as I teach. And there was a saying that I picked up in Africa that I think is appropriate to what's going on. It said, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go as a group. And so my hats are off to you to formulate your groups, to get somebody who's a pioneer. Slavica had in his heart he wanted to be a realtor. I think he's one of the first realtors here in Serbia. He's attended our conferences. And by the way, I'm not sure who number 1 is when you say number 2. And I was always told that we're the largest trade organization in the world, the National Association of Realtors. And in November, we will have a conference. I think it was Bulgaria or Ukraine, when somebody said, where are you from? And I said, I'm from Florida. And they all looked at me and went, oh, Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse. Yes, it's true. We have Mickey Mouse. We have the largest entertainment area in the Orlando market. And I'm happy to tell you that our trade show, which is one of the largest trade shows maybe on the planet, will be in November, and it will be in Orlando. And we will have at least 30,000 of your colleagues who will attend from all over the world. And the neat part about that is you as the professional can attend one of the 120 educational programs and over 1,000 booths at our trade show, but your wife and your children perhaps, or unless it's your husband and your children, if you're the real estate professional as a woman, can go out and see SeaWorld and Disney World and all those entertainment prospects. So it's really a family adventure. It's a wonderful opportunity for you to get educated and then connect with your colleagues, because at the international section of the trade show, we actually have a whole area that's just dedicated to international realtors. We set up tables, and about every hour, it could be Western Europe, it could be Eastern Europe, it could be South America, it could be Asia, but all the countries that participate. And we now have 80 associations in 66 countries that have signed bilateral agreements with the National Association of Realtors. So we're not alone. And one of the criteria of being a bilateral partner is agreeing to adhere to the Code of Ethics. They must adopt that before they're brought into membership. And so it's a key component of what we feel is the most important part and aspect of our business, and that's having good ethics and honest people. Because when I send a referral over to somebody, I want to know that my customer is going to be treated ethically and honestly in the conduct of my business. And it really does work, because last year we had colleagues who met from the Netherlands. They had a family who had passed away and had a piece of property that was right forward to seeing some of you tomorrow in my session.